Hey guys, this is Jason. I'm reviewing Thunderbolts, directed by Jake Schreier, and is previously known for doing the Netflix series Beef, which is a really good Netflix series that I strongly recommend watching if you haven't yet. A bunch of anti-heroes run into each other after getting caught in a death trap that they were tricked to getting into, have to work together to go and find the person that got them into that mess, while some of them have to figure out how to overcome their dark pasts and try to figure out how to save New York without the Avengers around. So they're basically Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad, even though the Suicide Squad was basically a DC version of Guardians of the Galaxy, which was also Marvel. I went and saw this film in theaters not only because I was thinking it would be a fun movie, but I'm a Marvel fan. I enjoyed a lot of Marvel stuff. I mean, look at the stuff behind me. I have a lot of Marvel related stuff on my wall, and I'm wearing a Spider-Man t-shirt, and of course I am a fan of the MCU, mostly the Infinity Saga of the MCU, all the way from Iron Man to Avengers Endgame. Sure, they've had some films that weren't the greatest, but I still enjoyed a lot of MCU films, and I am an MCU fan. With current MCU, however, not so much. Now, there are some films and shows I enjoyed myself, like Shang-Chi, No Way Home. I even liked Multiverse of Madness, and I like Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I had a fun time with Guardians 3, and I had a blast with Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, as for their shows, I do like WandaVision, Loki, and the Hawkeye series. I loved X-Men 97. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was a huge surprise for me, and even though Daredevil Born Again had issues, I still enjoyed it overall. Everything else that they've done, I haven't really enjoyed. Most of them have either been really disappointing or meh or just really bad. Like, they've made some films that I thought were going to be great but just weren't, like Love and Thunder, and most recently Captain America Brave New World. And I'm still one of those people that defends the MCU to this day, even with some of their mistakes and some of their not so great films. But they've still made some films that I personally enjoyed, and I'm still gonna defend the MCU regardless. And I was looking forward to seeing this film, but I wasn't like excited for it. I was thinking that maybe it would at least be fun, and was it fun? Yeah, I had a lot of fun with the film actually, but I do have some issues, which I'll get into those later. But there is still a lot to like here. I found this to be a very enjoyable film with really good action sequences, like one scene in the beginning of the film when Florence Pugh is fighting a bunch of guards in this hallway, or in the third act when they're fighting one of the main villains of the film. Of course, there's also the scene that we saw in the trailers and the marketing where we see Florence Pugh jump off of a building doing a big stunt. This is also a very funny movie. I found myself laughing with a lot of funny moments in the film, and it's not the kind where it's the unnatural kind or it's like an absurd amount of humor that ruins the tone. It has the right balance of having the right humor for certain moments in the film, and they made them work. And the way they use the humor for some of the action or in some of the bad situations the characters are stuck in definitely make those scenes work. Like, there's this one scene where four of the main characters are climbing through this tube and have to reach to the top to the door to escape through, which it kind of reminded me of this scene from The Emperor's New Groove. But what makes the humor great is that a lot of it comes from David Harbour as Red Guardian. He is easily the funniest part of this movie. He has a lot of scenes where David Harbour gets some time to shine with the humor, and he brings a lot of it here. And he is easily worth watching on screen just for a laugh. And the characters here are really well done. They have great banter with one another. You definitely get to feel the chemistry with all of them. And if you've been watching the films and shows like Black Widow, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Falcon and Winter Soldier, you already know who most of these characters are. Like, Yelena Belova is Natasha Romanoff's sister, who takes the mantle for being the new Black Widow. Red Guardian is her comedic father. Ghost has the ability to disappear and go through walls. John Walker is the wannabe Captain America. And Bucky Barnes Florence is a super soldier that had a shady past with Hydra. Their chemistry is definitely one of the best parts of the film, and they're easily worth watching on the big screen, where most of them don't really get along for the majority of this film until they realize that they have to work together to go against a bigger threat when the Avengers aren't around to stop it. For me, the best characters in this film are Red Guardian, mostly because of his humor, and Yelena Bulva, played by Florence Pugh, who's been dealing with a lot of issues after losing Natasha, where she has a troubled past that she never forgave herself for, and she didn't really have that many people to talk to, and she's kind of been distant from Red Guardian. And as the film progresses, she starts to grow more as a character to the point where she becomes one of the best characters in this film. And Florence Pugh is excellent in this film. She brings a lot of emotion and charisma to the character, and she makes you feel sympathy for her. Now, there is one character in this film I haven't mentioned yet, and this character is kind of a spoiler, even though the trailers already showed who that character is, which is kind of a spoiler, but not really at the same time. But if you don't want anything ruined for you if you haven't watched any of the trailers yet, that is your spoiler warning. One of the main characters in this film, who is also kind of one of the main villains of this film, is Bob, or as he's later revealed in the film to be Sentry, who is later revealed to have another identity known as the Void, where Bob has super strength and he can fly super fast, but he also has the ability to change into the Void, who is supposed to be the dark side of him, who is basically Superman if Superman had a Jekyll and Hyde side to him. Now, in concept, I liked how they use Sentry in this film. You get to learn about his backstory, you get to understand how he got the Void in his head, and you do get to feel some sympathy for him, but in execution, most of his backstory just feels rushed. Like, you get a little bit of the backstory, but not enough to understand more the dark side or how he came up with the Void in his mind. It kind of reminded me of an episode of Moon Knight, which is a mixed bag for me, but that show had an episode that's similar to the backstory for Sentry, where both the identities of Mark Spector and Stephen Grant have to go through this whole backstory of how Mark Spector dealt with his trauma, and we get to see a lot of that, and you do get to feel really bad for Mark Spector in that episode, where Sentry's backstory is a little similar to Moon Knight's backstory. I'm not saying that as a bad thing, I'm just seeing a lot of similarities to that. And to be honest, the way Bob becomes Sentry and how he wears the costume feels forced. Like, there wasn't enough for him to feel like he's becoming Sentry. It just felt like they had to rush it by giving him his costume and his blonde hair, where it just felt like the writers were like, okay, we need to make him Sentry already, because there really isn't like a lot of time we can give for his backstory or him becoming Sentry, so we're just gonna give him his costume already. That aspect of this film for me did feel rushed, and another issue I have that also felt rushed is the way it ends, which no spoilers of course, but the way it ends just felt rushed and very jarring, where it didn't feel earned. It didn't feel like it made sense for the main characters to get this part in this ending. Like, it felt like it was just there to set up Avengers Doomsday without having a lot of explanation or having it make sense for the rest of the MCU, where it felt like the writers were like, okay, we need something to help us set up for Avengers Doomsday, so we'll just go with this spot. Do we need some explanation or setup? Nope, we're just gonna go with this anyway. But those are my only issues with this film. I still had a very fun time watching it. Now, a lot of people have been saying that this is the best MCU film since Endgame, and as for myself, I honestly don't agree. Where I do think Thunderbolts is a very fun movie, and I do recommend seeing it in the theaters, and it's one of the better MCU films in recent years, but it's not at like Endgame level for me, where it's not that impactful. It's just a very fun watch in the theater that I do recommend seeing. Sure, it does have some issues like some rush moments and the way it ends felt jarring, but it has great characters, great action sequences, hilarious humor, and it has some great emotional moments from our main leads. Also, of course, stay for the credits because there's a post-credits scene that is very funny and an after-credits scene that does set up for more more stuff in the future. I'm gonna give Thunderbolts a B+. So guys, if you have seen Thunderbolts, what do you think about it? Do you think it's one of the better MCU films since Endgame, or do you think this is as bad as some of their other films like Love and Thunder? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing, because it helps my channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you know what other videos I'm posting. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.